Hello, welcome to the Pen Man. Hey, today I'm going to be taking a look at black ink. You know, at some point in your fountain pen journey, you are going to be in search of the blackest black of fountain pen ink. And it's a wonderful journey. You can find a lot of websites that deal with a lot of videos, YouTube videos that deal with the topic, or at least a few blogs especially, where some people go just a general overlook, much like what I'm going to do today, as well as some really get into the scientific aspects of it, as far as the different, I don't know what you call it, light waves or whatever, you know, the different color combinations of, you know, the red, blues, you know, the basic colors that end up making the black. Okay, so what I have done today is I've done a little bit of my own research to find what others have found to be some of their blackest black inks, and how they went about it and so forth, seeing some of their comparisons. And so this is not an exhaustive list, and perhaps you have some blacks of your own that you found that are blacker than what I have out today. And so this is just going to be kind of a fun experiment. It's something I've been wanting to try for myself for a long time, and I wanted to share with you as well. So obviously your input is always welcome, and it helps me, helps the rest of our community as we all chime in and give our 2 cents worth, so to speak. So let me take you over to the table, kind of show you the setup that I have laid out. I'm still waiting for a couple of black inks to arrive. They should be here today, so start laying them out. But anyway, let me show you my setup. All right, so here I have my setup, basic setup, and I probably won't do this experiment out here, but rather in my office slash studio, whatever you want to call it, man cave. I have a few black ink samples, and then I have some other blacks that I had on hand already, the X Feather, Borealis black, and Kaveco Pearl black. And then I have my glass dip pen there. This is it's going to be interesting because this thing is taking a learning curve to figure out how to use it best without dumping a bunch of ink or doing a lot of ghostwriting. And then what I have here is I have them all listed out. There's going to be 13 inks that I'm going to be taking a look at, and so we'll write the name of the ink. This isn't an experiment on how well these inks hold up to water, moisture, but I have room, so might as well. Just a little crisscross, and we'll drop a couple of drops of water on it and see how they hold up, and then I'll do a swatch at the end. Then down here I'll just do some lines, and you know they'll be all there together, so maybe it'll look good. And then I've cut out some other squares, and I'm gonna put the ink on there, and I don't know, I have them numbered on the back side, so then I'm going to kind of swish them around, and then we'll see what inks look the blackest. So like I said, I've already tried these 3. I have another black ink, Visconti black, and it's basically a dark gray. Yeah, not black. Anyway, so as soon as I have a couple other ink samples come in, as soon as they come in, and I'm not gonna do all this one by one and bore you with me writing them all out. So, but I will show you the finished product, and you know, as far as all the phases there, and we'll do the squares. I'll go ahead and videotape that because I'm kind of curious how that's gonna work out and maybe what you can see. Obviously, on a video, because of different lightings, both the lighting that I have filming it as well as the lighting on your computer screen, as you all know, sometimes the colors are represented a little bit different and so forth. So, you know, it's not going to be, you know, perfect, but we'll see what we can do here to help us all kind of find that blackest black. All right, we'll be back. Alrighty, so here we go with our Blackest Black fountain pen ink. Obviously, this is not an exhaustive list. I didn't attempt to do an exhaustive list. And again, I just tried to take some of the findings of some other people that and other websites, retailers and bloggers, etc., that did their own more extensive testing and got some ideas that they had, plus looking on Goulet's website and their swab shop, I think is what they call it, and doing some comparisons there to try to narrow it down to what might be some of the blackest blacks to look at. So I will go over the names of the inks that I did here in a second, but just use my Rohrer, I think that's how you call it, Rohrer and Klinger glass tip pen. This thing had a tremendous learning curve, and I still don't have it down pat, but anyway, that's what I tried to use. If you know of a glass tip pen that works better than that, please let me know. And then my cotton swabs, each color had its own fresh swab. So anyway, used the swabs for the swatches over here, and also to make my lines there. In addition, because I wanted to do these under a variety of conditions that would help me to determine what would be a blacker black, I also put the different colors or different inks, black inks, onto these little squares, and on the back of the squares I had the number that goes along with these right here. So I can't see what the name of them is, but you know, so I'll determine what is the blackest black, and then to me, and then turn them over and see what numbers they are. I'm going to put this heavy coaster on top, try to get that flattened out a little bit. All right, so the inks that we are looking at today are Noodler's Borealis Black, Noodler's Heart of Darkness, X-Feather, and then I have another Noodler's down here, Polar Black. I got these mixed up anyway. Platinum Carbon Black, Diatramentus Archive, Diatramentus Document, Pelican Edelstein Onyx, Diamine Onyx Black, Kaveco Pearl Black. I was on a roll here with Diamine, I guess. Herbon Pearl Noir, Twisby Black, and Lamy Obsidian. So let's take a look at these. Now let's see, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit down here. I'm going to write these down on my tablet as I go through them, but my first impressions as far as the swatches. So on just looking at the swatches here, right off the bat, I'm seeing number 1, number 4, number 10. So we got 1. This is 4, even though it's the 5th one down this way. That's 4. And then I'm looking at 10. These two down here aren't too bad. Let's see, 12 and 13. Okay, those seem to be the blackest. So I got 1. So let's look at the lines. When I look at the lines, I'm seeing 1, 4. I mean, 10 is pretty good. I mean, 13 kind of looks a little blacker. This is 12 is slightly blacker. I'll put it in there. Look at this. What about the squares? As we put these around here, make sure that I get them all in there. Here's what I'm saying. As far as when it comes to blacks, okay, I like this one. This one's pretty black. That one's pretty black. I kind of like that. These are close. These two, I'm going to point out something kind of interesting with those. Okay, so what I have here, these are interesting. Let's show you these. Okay, these blacks seem to be more on the kind of grayish black side. Okay, so these how many we got here? 7. They're kind of more of the heavy gray. All right, so I'm going to move these over, and then these right here. Again, I'll zoom in on them. Seem to be more of the more black. If you kind of put these around them, maybe. Let's try that. You can kind of see what I mean. And on these swatches, I didn't overlap. I just did, line, 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 line. I mean, so they overlap just a tad where the lines come into contact. But, for the most part, except for this one here, I see I have one swash coming down like that. But so as I'm looking at these 4 right here seem to be the darkest. Now, get these other 2 that I thought were pretty interesting. What do you notice? These are kind of on the darker side too. But I mean, is there anything that really stands out? I hope the video picks that up. But they almost have a teal, kind of teal shading to them. It's kind of neat, but it's not black, but it's kind of teal, especially this one right here. Yeah, when I rinsed the glass dip pen, sometimes blacks will have like a bluish tint to them. Sometimes this one was teal. I mean, it's kind of interesting. And then this one right here has that. Not as strong as that, but has it enough that it distinguishes itself from the black, and even these other grays, dark grays. I'll call them dark grays. This is, let's see, here's a darker, probably the darkest of the dark grays, right there. So I hesitate to put these in. Mark these as a black, even though I think they're interesting. Okay, so let's turn them over. Borealis black. Noodlers. Okay, and then the other one is number 4. Noodler's Polar Black. And then the next number that really stood out was 10 Kaweco Pearl Black. And 12, which is Twisby Black. Wow. Who would have figured, huh? Alrighty, so if I was going to go with just 4, there would be that one, those, I mean. All right, so I'm gonna stick with those 4. They seem to kind of be the ones that really stand out. All right, just for the fun of it, I'm gonna do a little water test on these. So I'll be right back. Alrighty, here is the drip test, and the Noodlers, they really held up very, very well. Borealis Black and the Heart of Darkness, not so much. X-Feather did good, but it still has a little bit of bleed there. And the Noodler's Polar Black was really good. Platinum Carbon Black, that held up really good, but it's, you know, one of the more grayer ones. But the Polar Black, that it's a nice dark black, but it also seems to have that permanence to it. So I'm pretty impressed. The Diatramentis Archive held up really well, but again, it's more on the grayer side. I don't know if that shows up in that as well. The Diatramentis document, that one held up good on the drip test. These final ones didn't do fare quite as well. The Pelican Edelstein Onyx, you can see, you could still see the lines. But, it kind of smeared a little bit. The Diamine Onyx Black, it really didn't fare very well. The Kaweco Pearl Black, same thing as the Edelstein Onyx. You can still see the lines, but, there's some bleed there. You get down, keep going further down, the Herbin Pearl Noir, it was really, didn't hold up too well. Twisby Black, same thing, although the lines are still there in the Twisby Black, but there's a lot of bleed. And then this Lamy Obsidian, boy, that just really, now you can tell there on the Lamy. Now that I'm using, I should have said this to begin with, but I'm using Rhodia paper, the pad there, and I believe it's 90 weight, 80 or 90 weight. I don't have my pad with me, so I'm not sure. But anyway, so it's a good paper, but this Lamy just seemed to want to feather a lot, so it really shows up there. But so overall, so we got the Borealis Black, just a little bit there, that held up okay. It is real nice dark black, although a hint of the kind of teal look, but not near as bad as the Obsidian, Lamy Obsidian. And then, let's see, we come down to, what's the other one here? Number 4, Noodler's Polar Black. And then we have the Kaweco Pearl Black. Very good black. It was really my go-to black, and it held up okay under this. I mean, if you spilled some water on your document, you may not lose everything. You still see some lines, but stuff still is kind of messed up there a little bit. And this one, number 12, Twisby Black. It's It's one of the blacker ones. I think I might have found my new favorite black. I mean, pearl black, Kaweco pearl black was my go-to, but this Noodler's polar black seems to really kind of pass all the tests. You know, it's got the nice dark black, and it held up very well under the water test. And as I look over here, even though it laid down a pretty thick line, I'm not seeing any feathering. Up here, the two Noodlers, you know, pretty heavy lines, but there's a lot of feathering. X feather obviously is not going to feather, but it had a little more bleed, and it wasn't quite as black. So, boy, I think my test here is going to go to Noodler's Polar Black, with the runner-up being Kaweco Pearl Black. Okay, so here's my challenge: is I want you to tell me if you have used these inks, in particular these 4 inks, but, or at least 1 or 2 of the 4 inks, but you have found an even better black. Now, you know, we're talking fountain pen friendly black, so we're not just talking any kind of blacks that you would use for calligraphy writing. You know, in other words, we're not talking about heavily pigmented blacks. I think the only pigmented black that I have in here is the platinum carbon black, and that held up really good. It's just not very black. You get those heavily pigmented inks and you use them in fountain pens, and they'll either not perform well, or you're going to have to clean them out a lot more frequently. So like I said, if you have found a black ink that you think can knock out, let's say, Noodler's Polar Black or Diamine Pearl Black, that's not one of these, you think it can knock it out, put it in the comments below, because I want to get a sample of those inks if possible, and do this test again. Let's just keep going, right? Okay, so in search of the blackest black. All right, thanks for watching.